Hello everyone. So previously we had successfully designed an auction system, right? So today we'll be designing an inventory management system, right? So let's see what the question states here. Design an inventory management system that can add items, update the quantities as well, fetch item details. This one also we need to keep in mind. Delete items, the fourth one, and list all the items using an in-memory data structure. Yeah, the system must support thread-safe operations and maintain a single global inventory instance, singleton. They have strictly asked us to go with a singleton. Yeah, the system must support thread safe operations and maintain a single, this one global inventory instance, nothing but singleton. Yeah, let's do one thing. Very simple one. You can just read the question again. So I'll just collect the functional requirements in the functional and non-functional requirements in detail, basically requirements in detail, and then we can just move on with the further things, right? The solution part actually. So here the first requirement is user should be able to add the new items to the inventory, whether it may be name, quantity as well as the price, right? So we should be able to update the quantity as well. The second one, the third one, fetch item details by ID. We should be able to, or user should be able to fetch the item details by the ID. The fourth one, we should be able to remove the items from the inventory. Remove items from inventory, right? So this is one of the important thing. The last one is we should be able to list all the current items. We should be able to list all the current items. Yeah. So these are some of the functional requirements. Then let's move on with the non-functional requirements here. In memory storage, as we are just going with a simple single file CLI demo, we don't have to worry about the external database. Yeah. We can just discuss whether it can be extended to the NoSQL or the SQL database. Currently, the solution that we are gonna write, basically it will be in-memory storage. It contains in-memory storage only, right? So next, thread safe operations. Yeah. So this one also we have to keep in mind. We can just go with the threading module in Python. Yeah. So the third one here, it should be easy to extend, meaning it has to follow open and closed principle. Yeah. So these are some of the non-functional requirements that they have provided. All right. So now we have the functional as well as the non-functional requirements, and then we have discussed the question part as well. It's good time to move on with the this one, algorithm and design pattern choice. So based on the requirements and the question, so I have decided to go with this particular algorithm, right? So for the inventory lookup, this one needs big of one operations, right? So we will be going with a hash map or the dict, right? So we'll be going with a hash map or the dict or dictionary, right? So this is fine, I believe. So for the ID generation, what we'll do, we will be going with a simple incremental counter, right? So we'll be going with a simple incremental counter. So these are the algorithm choices. Basically, we'll be going with a hash map or the dict data structure for the inventory lookup because it needs pick of one operations. And the second one, we will be for the ID generation, we'll be making use of the simple incremental counter. So this is going to be our algorithmic choice. Right. Next, let's move on with the design pattern choice here. See, one thing they've strictly asked in the question itself to go with a singleton, right? So we'll be going with only one inventory instance, so that maintains the singleton pattern. Yeah. So this is fine, I believe. We will be going with a strategy ready pattern as well, strategy ready design actually. Yeah. So for the pricing, discount or stock replenishment strategies, right? It that can be added later, right? So it should be basically strategy ready design. Yep. And we'll be making use of facade like API, right? If you don't know facade pattern, you can just go through the design pattern playlist. There we have discussed the most important 10 patterns. You can just have a look into it. Yeah. So we'll be going with a facade pattern like API, right? So I'm speaking of the clean methods, whether it may be add items, whether it may be update quantity, whether it may be get as well as the delete. Yep. So this is the design pattern we'll be going with. Yep. So this is fine, I believe. Now we have discussed the main part, algorithm choice as well as the design pattern choice. Let's move on with the further things, concurrency and the data model part, right? Concurrency, we have already discussed that we will be making use of the threading module, right? Yeah. So from the threading module, we can just go with a Python threading.log basically, which ensures atomic operations like add, whether it may be add, update as well as the delete. So when we are going with the inventory management, we will be making use of the atomic operations, whether it may be add, whether it may be update, or this one delete. Yeah, this is fine. Next, it prevents the race conditions when multiple threads modify the stock, right? It prevents the race conditions when multiple threads modify stock. So this is the concurrency part. Next one, the data model part. Yeah. So for the item, actually, we will be going with the item ID, name, quantity, as well as the price, right? For the item, we'll be considering actually item ID, name, item name, item quantity, as well as the item price. For the inventory, we will be going with the dictionary of this one, key item ID, this one value item. Then we'll be going with the ID counter and log for the thread safety. Just pause the video and have a look into it. Yeah, the exact thing. So we'll be writing in the UML diagram and implementing in the form of code as well. Yep. So this is about the concurrency as well as the data model. So we have discussed the four main things. One is algorithm and the design pattern choice. Uh, the other two topics are concurrency and the data model part. Yeah. Now, based on this, what we have discussed, and accordingly with the criteria or the requirements and the question, this one, I have designed an UML diagram, right? Let's look into it. So we will be going with the item class, which is completely dependent on inventory class, right? And this inventory class is going to be the base class actually. Yeah, base class. And yeah, it is the it follows singleton pattern as discussed earlier, right? So we will be going with the three parameters. One is items, another one is ID counter, and the third one is log, right? Item consists of the dictionary, so which consists of int and item, int comma item actually, dictionary key int, and the item, right? So ID counter, which is of the type int, and the log will be assigning this one to the threading log for the concurrency, right? So we'll be making use of the log actually. Yep. So where just give me a second here. In the item class actually, we'll be making use of the four parameters as discussed. One is ID, another one is name, the third one is quantity, and the fourth one is price actually. So we will be making use of four parameters here, right? So we'll be making use of four parameters. This is fine, I believe. And here within the inventory class, we'll be making use of the three parameters, namely items. Second one is ID counter, and the third one is log. Actually, this is fine. And we have discussed this one. Items, which consists of the dict, int comma item, ID counter, which consists of the int, and log, which consists of the threading dot log. So this is fine. Next, within the inventory class, we have six methods actually. One is add item, the second one is update quantity, the third one is get item, the fourth one is delete item, fifth one is list item, and the sixth one is get instance, right? So which is basically this one, singleton. Yep. So these are the six methods that we'll be making use of within the inventory class actually. You can just pause the video and have a look into it. User should be able to add the item, so we'll be going with the add item method. User should be able to update the quantity of the this one item actually. For that, we'll be going with the update quantity method. Yeah, user should be able to get the item, so we'll be making use of get item method. So user should be able to delete the item, so we will be making use of the delete item method. User should be able to list all the items, so we will be making use of the list items method. So and also we need to get the instance, which is the singleton. So for that, we'll be making use of get instance method actually. So this is also one of the important things. We cannot skip this one, right? So this is fine. If you know the this one design patterns, you'll be knowing what I'm speaking of. Yep. So again, so we will be making use of two classes here. Item, which is completely dependent on the inventory class, right? So item consists of four parameters: ID, name, quantity, price. So the same thing will be making use of it within the code. Inventory consists of the items, ID counter, as well as the log. Item consists of the dict, item which is of the type dict, intent item, ID counter which is of the type type int, log. So we'll be assigning this one to the threading dot log for the concurrency part. Yeah. So this is fine, I believe. The exact same parameters will be making use of within the this one code actually. Next, the six methods, as we have already discussed this one, we'll be going with add item, update quantity, get item, delete item, list items, and get instance, which is of the types. This one, where we'll be making use of the singleton pattern. Yeah. So here we'll be making use of the six methods as discussed actually. Again, and we'll be making use of the two classes as well. One is item as well as the inventory. Yep. So what we will be doing now, the exact same thing, based on the UML diagram, will articulate the same thing in the form of code actually. Yeah, we'll articulate or implement the same thing in the form of code. Yep. So that's what we will be doing. Right. The only thing is we will be adding the logic to the methods and we'll be writing that one. We'll be writing these things structurally in the form of code. That's it. Yep. So we have discussed the main points, algorithm choice and the design pattern choice, and we have discussed the concurrency and the data model part. Based on these things, we have already successfully designed the UML diagram as well. It is very good time to write the code. Let's start writing the code. So let's start writing the code here. The first thing, so we'll import the threading module so we can use the lock for thread safety, concurrency part, right? I'll just go with the import. Let me give threading here, right? So this is fine. Next, what we'll do, let's go with the item class. Item class, what it does, we have already discussed this one, right? UML diagram, in the UML diagram. So it represents the single product in the inventory, right? I'll just go with a class item, sorry, did I give caps lock here? Yeah, class item. So let me make this one capital I. Yeah, within the item class, first let's go with the initialization part, right? I'll just give init here. One second, let it show. Yeah, along with the self, I need certain parameters actually. What are the parameters? One is item ID. Yeah, item ID followed by name, quantity. Four parameters we had, right? One is item ID, name, quantity, and price. We have discussed this one while discussing the UML diagram. The same thing we'll be making use of, and let's initialize the same actually. Item ID. So this is fine. Yep. So this is the unique ID of the item. Next, let's do one thing. Let's go with the item name actually. Let's initialize this one to the name. I'll just go with name equals name. Yeah. So this is fine. The next one actually, let me go with quantity actually. This is fine. Let me assign this one to the quantity. The fourth one is, let's do one thing. Mm, let's go with the price for 1 unit. I'll just go with price equals price. Yeah, so this is fine. Next, we are done with the initialization part. Let's go with the representation part now. Yep, I'll just go with representation. Yeah, let me delete this one. Self is enough. So basically, why we are making use of the representation method here, right? So this helps print the item in a readable form when listing. So that's the only reason. Yeah, I'll just go with return. Let me make use of the string interpolation here. Just go with ID equals, let me pass the ID here. So this is fine. And outside this, let me go with the name. So it's better to go with the name as well. And we'll be going with the this one ID, name, quantity as well as the price, right? So quantity, let me set this one to the quantity actually, or let me go with the price. Yeah, let me go with price. So this one. Yep. So this is fine, I believe. Next, let's do one thing. We are done with the item class actually. Next, let's do one thing. Let's go with the inventory class, which is singleton. We had discussed this one, right? So I'll just go with a class inventory, right? Class inventory. So within the inventory class, let's do one thing. It holds the single instance of the inventory, right? Usually we write it on this way. I'll just go with the instance actually. Yeah, let me go with the instance and let me initialize this one to the none. Next, let me go with the lock actually. Yeah, let me assign this one to the threading dot lock actually. So this is fine. Yep. Um, threading dot lock, what we are doing actually, we are going with a class level lock for safe creation of singleton. So this is fine, I believe. Yep. So next, let's do one thing. Let's go with the initialization part, or what do we call that? Yeah, constructor part. Yep. So let me go with init. So along with the self, I don't need anything, I believe. So first, as discussed, so we'll be going with the dictionary, right? Uh, item ID and the item object will be considering, right? So let me initialize the items actually to the dictionary. Yep, so this is fine. Next, let me go with the ID counter as well. We need the ID counter, right? So let me initialize this one with a 1. Actually, we need the auto incrementing ID counter. Yep. Also, we need the lock for the concurrency as discussed. So I'll just go with, let me assign this one to setting dot lock. So this is fine, I believe. Yeah. So next, let's do one thing. Let's go with a get instance method as discussed, right? So this one, it ensures only one inventory in this one instance exists, right? So when we make use of the get instance, so that's the only reason we are making use of the get instance, this one method actually. So I'll just go with, so let me go with the annotation here, class method actually. This is not showing. Yeah, this one. One second. Yeah. So I'll just go with here def get instance method. Yeah, let me pass class here. Right. So this is fine. Basically, get instance method again. Let me tell you, it ensures only one inventory instance exists, right? So let me write the simple if condition here. If not, I'll just go with the instance. Yep. So this is fine. If the instance does not exist yet, then what we have to do, we have to make use of the lock to prevent the race condition while creating it. So let me go with lock here. Simple. Yeah. Let me go with lock. This one. Yeah. So this is fine, man. So within the so we have successfully made use of the lock to prevent the race condition while creating it. Next, let's do one thing. Let's go with a simple if condition, right? If not actually, let me go with the instance. So within this if condition, I'll just go with the instance. Yep. So let me call the inventory. So I'll just keep your inventory. We have called the inventory class. Now let's return the singleton instance, right? Let's return the singleton instance. So let me go with here, this one. Let me return singleton. We have to return, right? We have to return the singleton instance. I'll just go with instance. Yeah, this is fine, I believe. Next, we are done with initialization as well as the get instance method. Now let's move on with the main methods actually. We should be able to add the item, we should be able to update the quantity, we should be able to get item, delete item, and list items. These 5 things we have to do mainly. Yeah. First, let's go with the first method. If you look at the this one UML diagram, so let's go with the add item method. Yeah, I'll just go with def add item. Along with the self, I need certain things actually. Name, quantity, as well as price, right? So this is fine, I believe. Name, quantity, as well as the price. So within the add item method, first let's go with the lock actually. So which protects the particular operation, right? So it is atomic. We have this one, discussed this one earlier. I don't have to elaborate this one in detail. I don't want to elaborate, right? So I don't have to actually. Yep, we know this. Yep. So this is fine with one self actually. Yeah. Now, Uh, first, let's do one thing. Let's assign the next available ID, right? I'll just go with the item ID. Let me assign this one to the this one ID counter. So this has to show. Yeah. So this is fine. Next one, let me go with the ID counter here. Yeah, this one actually ID counter equals ID counter plus one. Actually, this is fine. Yep. So we are incrementing the ID counter for the next item, right? So let's do one thing now. We have to create the item and store it in the dictionary. That we have to do. I'll just go with, so here items of this one. Let me pass the item ID. This is fine. And let me go with the item of item ID. So this is fine. Name, quantity, as well as the price. Yeah. Name, quantity, as well as the price. Yep. So this is fine. Uh, the final thing is we have to return the generated item ID, right? I'll just go with return item ID, right? So let me go with item ID. This is fine. Next, let's do one thing. Let's go with a method update quantity. So let's move on with a update quantity method. We have to update the quantity of an existing item, right? For that, we'll be writing the update quantity method. We'll just go with here update quantity. Along with the self, I need certain things actually. Item ID as well as the new quantity, right? As well as new quantity. So this is fine. Within the update quantity method, let me go with lock again actually. Yeah, so this one. So within the lock means lock ensures the safe modification, right? So that is the reason we make use of the lock most of the times. Yep. So I'll just go with if item ID in items actually. Yep, this has to show. Yep, in items. Then we have to update the quantity. So I'll just go with here items based on the item ID will be updating the quantity, right? So this one will be sorry, this one will not. This shouldn't be ID counter actually. It should be items, right? So we are going with items. Items of item ID. Let me pass the item ID. This one dot quantity actually. So let me type this one as this is not showing. Let me assign this one to the new quantity. Yep, so this is fine, I believe. Next, let's do one thing. We have to confirm the update, nothing but we have to return true. If the ID is not found, then we have to return false in that case. First, let's return true. Yep. If the item ID is not present, then we have to return false in that case. So I'll just give here false. Yep. So this is fine, man. Simple. So we are done with the update quantity method. Now, user should be able to fetch the details of an item based on the ID, right? So for that, we'll be writing the get item, this one method. So I'll just go with def get item. So along with the self, I need two parameters, only one parameter, sorry, item ID. Based on the item ID itself, user should be able to fetch the item, right? So this one, let me return actually, I'll just go with item dot get actually. So this one will be item ID, none. So this is fine. Uh, last two things is one is delete item method and another one is list items method. Yeah. So let me go with actually delete item method actually. Yeah. Let me go with the delete item method. So I'll just go with self, comma, item ID. So this is fine. Within the delete item method, first thing we have to lock to avoid concurrent delete issues. So I'll just go with lock actually. Lock. So here within this, we have to remove and return the item, right? I'll just go with return. Mm, let me go with items. Sorry, items. As we are removing, I'll just go with a pop here based on the item ID itself, right? So we'll be removing the item. So I'll just go with item ID and let me pass the other parameter none actually. This is fine. We are done with the delete item method as well. The final one, um, so here we have to list all the items currently that are currently present actually. For that, we'll be going with the list items method. So I'll just go with def here, list items actually. This is fine, I believe. Yeah. So within the list items method, so let me return list of, so I'll just go with your item dot value. Yep. So this is fine, I believe. Yeah. We are just returning the list of item object. So we are done with writing the code, man. So this is it. Yep. So this is the singleton class actually. This one inventory. Yeah. And we have written one more class named item, where we went with only the initialization part. Yeah. And we went with the representation method as well. Yep. So this is fine, I believe. So this is it for the code actually based on the requirements and other stuff that we had discussed based on the UML diagram and algorithm choice. We have successfully written the code. Right. So now let's do one thing. Usually I get the example usage or the demo usage from the Google. Let me do that. Just give me a second here. So let me do one thing. Yeah, I'll just paste this one over here. So first what we are doing, let me run this one and let me explain. Yeah. Let me see whether whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct or not. Then we can just discuss the demo usage or the example usage, right? I'll just come here. Let me give Control J, clear screen. Let me go with the Python followed by the file name.py. Yeah. So yeah, we are getting the correct code, right? First, what we are doing. So let me explain you this one step by step actually. Yeah, just give me a second here. First, what we are doing. So we are calling the get instance here. We are going with a singleton pattern, right? Design pattern, right? So we are just calling the inventory class and we are going with a get instance method, basically to get the single inventory instance. That is the reason we have made use of the this one, or we have written the get instance method actually, right? Next, we are adding the item to inventory. What are the items that we are adding actually? Apple and banana, right? So quantity we are going with 50 and banana quantity we are going with 100 actually with a price 2.5. You can just consider this one 2.5k, this one as 1.2, right? Or let's do one thing, we are considering, yeah, you can just go with the 2 point this one 250 rupees and 120 rupees as well, 2.5 and 1.2, right? So this is fine. Yeah, now 2.5k and 1.2k would be fine. So this is fine. Next, let's print the initial items here. We have to show the initial items in the inventory, right? So we are listing all the items actually. We are listing by calling the list items method. We are listing all the items. So see here, initial items. So this is ID1 and this is ID2 actually, right? So ID1, we are getting the apple correctly. A quantity we are getting 50 correctly, and this one price we are getting 2.5. Yeah, this is working absolutely correct. ID should be 2. Then auto increment ID we have made use of. So while explaining, I did explain the same thing, right? So we are going with auto increment ID. So ID equals to 2. So nothing but the banana here, quantity 100, quantity is 100, this is fine, and price is 1.2. We are just this one adding the items to inventory and we are listing them by making use of the list items method. So this part is correct. Yeah, initial items, this part is correct. Next, then what we are doing, we are updating the quantity of the apple here. See, uh, updating this one ID is 1, right? ID of the apple is nothing but 1, right? So we are calling the update quantity method. We are updating the quantity of the apple from 50 to 70. See here, from 50 to 70 we are updating. So quantity is 50. We are updating the quantity of apple from 50 to 70. Nothing but we are changing the apple quantity from 50 to 70. So this is fine, I believe. Next, what we are doing, we are printing after updating apple. We have to show the updated apple, right? So inventory dot get item of ID1. So we are just going with a get item method of, we are just passing the ID1, nothing but this one, this part, right? So this is fine, I believe. After updating apple quantity, see here, we are going with the ID1. Apple quantity has been updated from 50 to 70 here. See, initially we had 50. Here, the quantity has been updated from 50 to 70. Then price remains same, price 2.5. Right. So then what we are doing, we are deleting the banana, right? So by calling the delete item method, so we are removing the item based on the ID, right? See here, we are calling the delete item method and we are passing the ID to banana. ID is this one. Yeah, ID2, banana's ID is ID2. We have kept the auto increment. Apple ID is ID1, banana ID is ID2. We have passed the ID2 here. We are calling the delete item method. We have called the delete item method. Along with it, we have passed the ID2. So this has to remove the this one banana actually. After removing banana, we are just showing the inventory after deletion. See, again, we are calling the list items. Only we have to this one, we have to get the invent item that is this one, item that is based on the ID1, right? Item that is present along with the ID1, right? So this is fine actually. ID1 apple quantity we have already updated from 50 to 70. This remains quantity 70, price 2.5, and ID2 will not be present as we have removed that one completely, right? So banana we have removed this one. When we call the list items method, only the item that's related to the ID1 has to get displayed, and we are getting the desired output here in this case. So whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct, right? So we are getting the desired output. Yep, we are getting the desired output. Yep. So based on the or actually, yeah, we have already discussed the coding part, right? Based on the things that we had discussed on the UML diagram, we have written the code and we have discussed the coding part. We have discussed the output part as well. We have got the desired output of, as well, right? So now, as we have discussed the coding part, this one, the output part, it's better to move on with the further things, right? So let's start discussing the limitations for the code that we have written. So here the first limitation is no persistence, right? So we are not going with any external database here. So quite obviously, no persistence. So this is one of the limitations. Quite obviously, we are not making use of any external database. We are just going with a single file CLI demo. So no persistence here, right? So this is fine. Next, no bulk operations. This is one of the limitation as well. We are not going with any batch import or export here, right? So we are not making use of any bulk operations. So this is one of the limitations. The third one, no search by name or the category, right? So we are just going purely with ID based actually. Only we are just making use of only ID based, right? So no search by name or category. So this is one of the limitations as well. The fourth one here, no validation. No validation in the sense we are not going with a negative price, invalid quantity, this kind of validation we are not doing. So no validation. This is purely the limitation part. Yeah, this is one of the limitations as well. Let's move on with the fifth part. No role or user authentication. Yeah, no role or user authentication. So this is one of the limitations as well. Yep. Now let's do one thing. Let's move on with the further things. Nothing but alternative algorithms and the trade-offs. Alternative algorithms and trade-offs. Right. So first one, persistence. Right. When I say persistence, we are going with a, so these are the features actually. These are not the this one actually, alternative algorithms. So based on the features, what this thing, what algorithm that that we would have implemented, let's discuss this one, that one. Yeah, sorry. So for the persistence, we could have, or we can add SQLite or JSON or the CSV file, right? So the main trade-off here is more complexity and slower, right? So it is more complex actually, more complex, that we have to keep in mind. Yeah, so this is fine, I believe. The next part is faster concurrency. For the faster concurrency, we can just go with a reader writer locks, right? We can just go with reader or writer locks here, right? So this one we can make use of. But the only trade-off here would be it would be more complex, or more complex locking, we can say. Yeah, this is fine, I believe. Next, let's move on with the scalability part here. Scalability, actually, we can implement, or we can just go with a shared inventory. Yeah, we can just go with the shared inventory. Yep, so we can just go with shared inventory. Yep. So this is nothing but the hash partition. Yeah. So the main trade-off would be it is harder to maintain consistency, right? The consistency is harder to maintain when we go with a shared inventory or the hash partition actually. Yep. Next, this one, search by name feature. So for that one, we can just go with a try or inverted index. We can just make use of the try actually for searching by index actually, right? So this is the best algo, for alternative algo to this one, to implement the search by name feature, right? So the main trade-off would be extra memory usage. Yeah, extra memory usage. And the final one is event driven stock changes, right? For the feature to add the event driven stock changes feature, so we can just go with the observer pattern. We have already discussed this one. We can just go with observer pattern, right? So we can just go with a observer pattern, right? So the main trade-off here would be we have to go with a more components to manage, or we have to deal with more components to manage actually. Yeah, manage. So these are some of the alternative algorithms that we can consider, and we have discussed the trade-off or the summary part as well, right? Uh, so we have successfully designed this one, what do we call, inventory management system, or inventory management system actually. Yep. So I hope whatever we have discussed is completely clear, along with the UML diagram part and the coding part, main part. Yep. So this is it. Next, we will be designing loyalty program, also called as, we usually say this one, customer loyalty program, right? So you will be knowing if you have implemented certain this one certain things, or if you have worked on the this one e-commerce website. So there will be something called customer loyalty. Usually for the e-commerce, I have seen that one in the e-commerce, basically e-commerce website. So there will be something called customer loyalty program, right? So that one we will be designing actually. Yep, it's easier. Let's design that. Yep. So now I hope we have successfully designed inventory management system. I hope whatever we have discussed is completely clear, along with the coding part and the UML diagram, right? So for now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.